Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. And if you're new, welcome to my channel. My name is Jackie and let's get started. For DIY number 1, I'm going to begin with 20 of these tumbling tower blocks, one of these wooden frames, and one of these wooden planks of this size, the longer ones, just one. So I'm going to begin by removing the little stand to this picture frame, photo frame, and I'm going to remove the inside parts, including the little clamps or clips, whatever those are. And so now I'm going to take some Aleene's tacky glue and I'm going to make 2 towers of 10 like this. So here's 2. They're not joined together, they're just 2 towers. And now here's my circle piece from the frame, and it measures 4 inches, so my halfway point is 2 inches. So I'm taking my ruler and marking my halfway point for this circle. So now I'm going to take this utility knife from the Dollar Tree and I'm going to attempt to cut through. It does cut through pretty good. It's just there's like double piece of wood in there where it makes the frame. So I'm going to go in with this little hammer that I have and I just basically beat it on there. Take out all the aggressions, and you know what, it worked because it cut right through it. Now I wouldn't have a problem otherwise, but the fact that it's doubled, it's like doubled. So here I cut it in half, and now I'm going to take my plank and score that a few times until it breaks like a cracker, and I'll finish cutting it off, and I'll sand off the rough edges and remove any uneven pieces until I get it the way I want it. So here, now I have it all ready. So I'm taking one of my arches and I'm going to take these cubes. I believe I used 7. So I'm going to go in with some hot glue just because I wanted to get this done. So I'm going to add 1 on each corner and then 3 in the center, and then 2 more in the center part of that. So yes, that's 7. And I'll do this to the second arch as well, like this. So now I'm going to begin to assemble my little wood oven. And so I'm going to add some hot glue to the side of this plank and adhere one of my little towers. And I'll do the same thing to the second side. Add some glue to the plank, add the second tower like this, and now I'm going to add these arches, but I ended up taking them off in a little bit. You'll see where I took them off, but like this, they kind of look like a mouth. Don't they look like teeth? Oh my goodness, it's so funny. So here I'm just assembling this little oven to bake my gingerbread men, but in a little bit you'll see that I decided to remove it to add a rack because it's a little bit easier to add the rack without that arch. Okay, so here I removed the arch, and here I'm going to cut the excess of this piece of wood. I wanted to leave it long, but then I decided I wanted an extra rack and I didn't want to get another plank, so I'm going to utilize this extra piece, and this will be one of my racks. So again, I just cut it in the same manner, and here go ahead and take this little extra piece and I'm just going to adhere it to the inside, and it'll be one of my racks. I end up doing 2 racks. So here's the first one, and I go ahead and secure it with a little bit more hot glue. I usually don't like to do that, but this one I felt like it needed it. So now here I have that ready. So now here I decided to add the arch, so I'll glue this in place. And then after I add the arch, I decided to add the other rack, and it just slides right in. So I do a little bit of sanding and add some glue. Well, actually I place it inside and then I add the glue. So get it in place, and then I'll adhere it with some glue like this. And I'll put it in its place before the glue gets cool. And now I'm going to go in with some spackle, and it's to cover the top because it looks a little bit, I don't know, it looks like teeth. Looks a little bit odd. So I just take the spackle and I'll press it in all the all the little nooks and crannies and get it nice and looking cute. Like a structure, like this. Look at that. And I'll allow that to dry. And now I'm going to go in with some of the Waverly chalk paint in the color Truffle and give it a full coat. And now I'll go in with some of the Waverly chalk paint in the color Hazelnut and do a dry brush. And these little pieces of wood, they're actually from the sides of those crates that I like to take apart all the time. So I'm going to utilize those pieces of wood, and they're going to become my oven peels. Yes, where the cookies get cooked or baked. So I'm just going to do a dry brush on everything. A nice dry brush, give it dimension. And now going with a little bit of the puffy paint, the 3D paint, and I do a little bit of icing work on the oven, both sides. And here are my little silicone gingerbread men, and I'm going to use some E6000 because hot glue doesn't really work well with silicone anything. And here I'm just going to adhere them to my little oven peels. See, they already have the handle. So I'll just add 2 on each, and I'll set the bottle on top to keep it in place. Now this is nice and dry. The little oven is nice and dry. So I picked up this little gnome set. It's like a clay set from the Dollar Tree. They're ornaments. And I removed the little hanger part, which is kind of like a little hook that just screws in. So I just screwed it off. Add some hot glue and add my little gnome, because my little gnome is going to be baking gingerbread cookies. Yes. So here I'm going to add my little peels into my little ovens. And look at that. Look how cute. So now I'm going to take this little candy cane. It's also an ornament, and I removed the little hanger part as well. Just screw it off. And I'll adhere this little candy cane to the other side of my oven just to embellish it a little bit. I'm trying to find the right spot because I don't want it to interfere with the peels being stuck in the oven, because they'll burn. So here I place it right here, right on the side. Look how adorable. And I just add a little bit more glue to reinforce it. And look how cute. They just pop right out. Oh my goodness, I just can't. So now I feel like it still needs something. So I get one of these plastic peppermints and I add some glue and just place it on the top center. And this DIY is complete. And here they are, cookies in the oven, cookies out of the oven, and a closer look in the final reveal. And this video is a part of a collaboration with my sweet friend Giulia. Her channel is called Crafting with Giulia. And so we decided to collab together and do gingerbread DIYs. So when you're done watching my video, please head on over to my description box and click the link to her video and tell her that I sent you, because she is so talented. You're gonna love her. For DIY number 2, I'm taking 4 of these village houses from the Dollar Tree. They're made out of plastic, and I'm going to go in with this Rust-Oleum paint in the color Rust. It's a little darker than what I'd like, but it's all I could find in the store. So I'm going to go in with some Mod Podge, the matte, just to give it a nice finish, and that way the paint won't chip off or scrape off. And now I'm going to go in with some of this Home Decor chalk paint by Folk Art, White Adirondack. And I'm going to do a dry brush on these houses because I want them to look a little different. I know several people have redone these little houses, but I wanted mine to be a little bit different. So here I'm just going to do some dry brushing just to give it a full snowy look. And I'll do this to all the houses and to all the surfaces. So the top, the sides, all of it, until they look like this. Look how cute they look. They look like they've been covered in powdered sugar. Oh my goodness. They look so good. So I'm going to go in with some of my puffy paint, and I'm going to just go ahead and do some of the outlines. So I'll do the top. I'll do all the outlines of the building and the windows and making it look like icing everywhere. So this little church is done like this, and so now I'm going to add some faux snow to it. So I'll place a paper or foam plate underneath and add all my faux snow, and I'll do this process to the rest of my little houses until they all look like this. And so a closer look at the final reveal. DIY number 3, I'm taking 2 of these solar window candles, and I'm going to take some of this red ribbon that I had from the Dollar Tree, and I'm basically just going to wrap it around the candle itself to kind of create a candy cane look. So I'll add a little dab of glue, and I'll place the ribbon on, and then I'll just start rolling it or wrapping it around the candle, kind of like a diagonal going downward. And I'll go around and round and round until I get to the bottom, and then I'll secure it with some more hot glue, snip off the excess. And I really like this ribbon. This ribbon has sequins on it, so I'll do that and get it secured in place. And I'll do this to both of my candles until they look like this. Look how cute. So now I'm going to take some of these ornament hooks, and I got these at Walmart. I like them because they were pretty ornate. And I'm going to take some hot glue and simply add the glue to the side of the candle in between the 2 ribbons, and I'm just going to place this little hanger on here. And so I'll just stick it on there until it solidifies and dries, and then I'll do the opposite end the same way. This one I went a little high, but I press it down and it just works just fine. So here they are, nice and pretty. And I do this to both of my candles. Add extra glue just to reinforce it because it's just a little hanger until they look like this. So here I'm reinforcing the second one as well. Okay, so now I'm going to take these tumbling tower blocks. They come in the brown. These were from a couple years ago. They used to come in a couple different colors. So this one's already brown. And all I'm going to do is add some hot glue to the top of these ornament hooks, and I'll place my tumbling tower blocks on top. So here's one. So I'm essentially making like a shelf, maybe. Now these are a little bit high, but I push them down and then they work just fine. This one's a little high, but I do press them down. Add some more glue just to get it in place, and it works a little bit better. And then the second one, it comes out right from the beginning, so that's pretty good. I didn't have to push it down. So I just add some glue. This one I added the glue to the tumbling tower blocks, and I just place it on top of my ornament hook, and then I do the same thing to the second tumbling tower block for this candle, and I'll place it on top. This one came out much better. Look how cute. So now I'm going to take some of these wooden gingerbread men that I still had on hand from another project, and I'm just going to add a little bit of glue to the bottoms, to their feet, and I'm going to place one on each of these little shelves. I think shelves is not the right word, but I can't think what it is. These platforms, how's that? I'll place one on each of these little platforms. But look how cute. Oh my goodness. It's so adorable. Kind of reminds me of the city street decorations, the Christmas decorations. They're kind of like this. Yeah, look at that. So here I made a couple of small bows to place on my little girls' heads. I love to add little bows to my gingerbread girls, but I ended up changing it because I feel like the bow is a little bit too overpowering, because I'm also adding a bow to the center of the candle where all the hot glue is at. Kind of conceal all the hot glue. So yeah, I felt like that was too much. So now I changed it to some baker's twine. And here's how they look, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 4, I'm taking this picture frame that I was going to use for another project, and I'm just going to go in with this Waverly chalk paint in the color crimson. And now I'm going to do a dry brushing with this white Adirondack chalk paint by Folk Art. And I'll just do a light dry brushing on the whole frame, just to give it a little bit of depth, a little bit of character. And once I get it done, then I'll go in with some Mod Podge just to seal everything up. I don't want anything scratching off, and I just use the matte Mod Podge. So here I'm doing the inside as well. Just a little light brushing until it looks like this. It's gonna look cute. And here's the Mod Podge. And with my Cricut, I created this vinyl that says Gingerbread Wishes and Peppermint Kisses. And I'll link everything in my description box if you guys want to get to it. But look how cute. And so I'm just going to place it on my frame, and I'll peel off my contact paper. Now I'm going to go in with one of these little wooden gingerbread men, and I'll just stick it right above where it says Gingerbread Wishes, and add one of these plastic peppermints and place it where it says Peppermint Kisses. Now all I have left to do is create a quick bow, and I just do a quick bow with kind of rather long tails, and I do dovetail the ends, and then all I have to do is adhere my bow until to the top of my little frame. And since the tails were a little bit long, then I do secure them to the sides of the frame just so they won't be covering up all my wording. So like this. And so now once I get that adhered, I have to move it up a little bit. It was a little bit too low. And now this DIY is complete, and a closer look at the final reveal. For DIY number 5, I picked up this cutting board at my local thrift store. And so I'm just going to remove all the labels that are on it and do a little bit of sanding as well. And now I'm going to go in with some of the apple barrel paint in the color bright red. And I'm going to do a full coverage. Even though I'm not going to use the front side, I'm just going to use the back side. I'll probably use the front side for Valentine's. So yeah, you might see it again later. So again, I created a vinyl with my Cricut, and again, I'll link this in my description box for you guys. And this one just says gingerbread spice and everything nice is what Christmas is made of. I love that one. So here I'm just going to add it to my cutting board. Look at that. So cute. Center it as best I can and press it all down. I get to use my little scraper tool that I found at the Dollar Tree. Also happy to find it. And remove my contact paper. Now I'm just going to go in with some baker's twine. I'm going to keep it simple. Wrap it a few times and just make a double knot and a bow for this one. Like this. But I still want to do a little bit of embellishing. So I take 2 more of those wooden gingerbread men, a little gingerbread boy and a gingerbread girl, and I'll just adhere it to the front of the cutting board. And now all I have to do is give the little girl a little bow for her head. So I'm just going to go in with some more of this baker's twine. It's a nice thin twine and it's really cute. So I just make a quick little finger bow and adhere it to the top of her head. And look how adorable. Now this DIY is complete, and a closer look at the final reveal. Okay, last DIY, number 6. I am taking one of these wooden plaques and the other piece to that wooden frame that I used for DIY number 1. And I'm going to go in with some of the apple barrel paint in the color Snow White and give it a full coat. I'm going to take some of these napkins that I found at Walmart, and it's got the full gingerbread cookie recipe on it. Oh my goodness. So I removed the backing of the tissue paper of the napkin, and I cut out the recipe. The recipe was a little bit too long for this piece of wood, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place part of it on the back. So I'm going to go ahead and cut some of these little gingerbread people, one of the little boys and one of the little girls, and my fan is on, and that's why it's like blowing everywhere. Just making it more challenging for myself, I guess. So, and I'm taking a candy cane as well. And here I'm just cutting it all out. Try to trim as best I can. But since I painted it white and then the backing paper is white as well, it's fine. So I'm going to go in with some of the Mod Podge, the matte Mod Podge. And now I'll just begin to add all my Mod Podge and adhere all these pieces, beginning with the top where it says gingerbread cookies. And so I'll make sure to do a light coat, but do a thorough coat. Want to make sure that it's nice and covered with Mod Podge. And here's the actual cookie recipe. So I'll add that underneath the title center as best I can, kind of rub it and press it down gently. Don't rip the tissue paper, the napkin paper, and then add some more of the Mod Podge everywhere. Get all the edges nice and secure. And then I'm going to take the candy cane and place it on the bottom right hand corner right here. And then once I allow this to dry, I'll flip it over and I'll put it on a piece of parchment paper just to make sure it doesn't get stuck to anything. And now for this back side, I'm going to first place the icing recipe, which is the other part of the recipe that would not fit on the front. It's just the recipe to the icing and instructions how to embellish the cookies. So I'll place this down here at the bottom, make sure it's going to have its spot. And then on the top portion of this side, I'll add my gingerbread people. So I'll put my little girl on the left and put my little boy on the right. But here I'm just adding some more Mod Podge and get all the edges. And that is it. Once I get all this completed, then I'll just adhere the stand that came off of that wooden frame, and I'll place it on the bottom of this frame so this whole piece will stand up on its own, freestanding. And then I'll add a few bows here and there, and that is it. This DIY will be complete, and it is done. Look how cute. And here is the front, and here is the back, and a closer look at the final reveal. And now we're ready for the final reveal. What do you guys think? Well, I'll take a moment and thank Giulia for collaborating with me. And please don't forget to head on over to my description box and follow the link to her video and watch her video. She's also doing gingerbread DIYs, 6 I believe as well. So definitely don't miss out. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, please give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet. There's so much more fun stuff coming up. And until my next video, stay healthy, safe, and strong. And have a great day. Bye-bye.